Havoc.
News, interviews, and more.
We just reek of Huntsville Havoc hockey.
Welcome back to another Reekin Havoc podcast, the only weekly year-round report on the Huntsville Havoc. I'm Tim Lambert. This time around, Laura Pitts caught up with Austin Alger, who's new to Huntsville, but not the SPHL. We'll hear her conversation with him coming up, as well as Coach Stu Steffen's weekly pick of the pack, and we'll take a look at this weekend's upcoming schedule and give you some reminders as well when the Reekin Havoc podcast continues.
The Reekin Havoc podcast.
One of the worst feelings you can have is that of being stranded. Well, BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair makes that a thing of the past, with 24/7 towing services and roadside assistance in the northern Alabama and southern Tennessee areas. But that's not all. They also offer truck and trailer repair, mobile welding, brake service and repair, new and used tires, and other major and minor repairs. Their name says it all, BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair. For 24/7 response, call 497-8234. That's 497-8234. BT's Towing, Tire, and Truck Repair. Got something to say? Put it on a t-shirt, or hoodie, or apron, or even an iPhone case. Just go to daddyoscustomtees.com and make it happen. Look through their selection of ready-made designs, or make one of your own. Check out their special hockey designs, too. With Daddy O's Custom Tees, you can truly have it your way. Look for Daddy O's Custom Tees on Facebook, follow them on Twitter or Instagram, or go online to daddyoscustomtees.com. That's DADDYOS Custom TEES.com. Daddy O's Custom Tees. They've got your back or front.
Let's go in the slot.
Welcome back, hockey fans. We're back for another In the Slot episode. This week, we have Austin Alger with us today. He spent last year as a marksman and doing a couple other different things. But this season, he's here with us on the Havoc with 9 goals so far and counting and 8 assists. We're right in the middle of the season. There's no telling what we're going to see from Austin as the year goes on. Austin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat a bit and introduce myself.
Yes, we are excited, and we're happy to have you as part of the Havoc family. Those 9 goals so far, how do you feel about that? 9 goals, 8 assists, your first year on the Havoc. What's that streak looking like for you? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, obviously it feels good coming into a new team and being able to help out and produce some offense. Obviously, I can only take so much credit. I play with some good players, and they make it a lot easier on me. And obviously, we've got a lot of team success, which helps a ton. But like I said, it's a really good feeling, and I feel blessed to produce right now. And like I said, it's been great, and I'm loving it so far.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't realize it's not as easy as it seems to get that puck to go into the goal. And so I'm always enamored when I'm watching a hockey game, and it doesn't matter what level of hockey. Whenever anybody scores, it's like, oh my gosh, how did they do that? It's sometimes so precise, especially with the help from your teammates and stuff. I just find that just fascinating to me as a fan. So I can only imagine what kind of work goes into trying to, make those kinds of things happen. Absolutely. Like you said, it's not every night it goes your way. And I've just been fortunate enough that I've gotten some good bounces and a lot of help from my line mates and teammates. So it does not always go this way, but I'm happy it's going in our direction right now. And this is your first season with the Havoc. So what so far kind of have you gotten in your groove yet? Feeling a little bit part of the team? I mean, it's a culture down here in Huntsville with the Havoc group. And so I'm just curious about how you're kind of feel like you're finally fitting in and all that stuff. Yeah. Personally, it's always a big step for me. I'm a little more introverted than most hockey players, so that adjustment can be difficult, but the team here and the culture we have here, it's been incredible. It's been a much easier adjustment than I've had in the past. And not only that, the coaching staff, the fans, the community, it's top notch here, and it's made the transition so much easier. And I feel so blessed to be a part of what's going on here in Huntsville. I could speak about so many individuals that have made it easier, but all in all, I really do feel grateful, and the transition has been much easier than I expected. It's interesting hearing you say that you're a little bit more introverted than most hockey players. Why do
Mhm.
you say that? What do you think? What is it about that?
I think there can be a lot of different takes on this, but personally, I think just in sports in general, you have to be you don't have to, but more often than not, you see strong personalities, a lot of confident people who are the best at what they've done for so long that they're always the loudest guy in the room, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I've just never been that person. I'm always a little bit more to myself. I enjoy everything going on in the locker room and all of the different personalities, but mine's just never been one of the stronger ones. I'm not incredibly loud. I'm not outspoken, but for me to come in and fit into a team like I have here, it is a blessing because it doesn't always go like that, and you don't always feel welcome, and you don't always fit in right away. But like I said, the transition here and the people and the mesh we have, it's been outstanding.
So how did you end up down here in Huntsville? I know last season you played with the Marksmen for a little bit, and then you've done a lot of other cool things in your hockey career. So what kind of has led you to Huntsville?
Sure, yeah. So it was actually 2 years ago. I was in Fayetteville. I played there my rookie year, and I went and played in Finland for a year this past season, and then I signed another contract in Europe in Slovakia in Extraliga, and things didn't work out there. So I've been playing hockey since end of July, and the European League starts much earlier. So got a couple months into the season there, and things weren't working out, and I wanted to come back home. And to be frank, I was not planning on coming to Huntsville. I reached out to my friends back in Fayetteville, and that was kind of my initial thought. I just want to come home, play hockey again, and then got in touch with Connor Fries, and he relayed the message to Coach Stu, and word got out that I was coming home, and I was in talks with Stu, and we ended up making it work here. And like I've already said a couple times, it's been a blessing. So it's a weird transition, and it doesn't always go like this, obviously, and there was a lot of uncertainty, and I didn't know where I would land at one point. I took a couple of weeks off at home just to kind of regroup, recollect, and kind of think about the next step, and that next step ended up being Huntsville. So
There's always a scary moment in that waiting period because for you don't know where your next move is going to be. You know that you want to play hockey, but was there ever a moment in that time where you were like, well, maybe this is just it, or maybe I'm going to have to take a little bit longer than I thought I was going to get kind of back here into the groove of stuff? Like, how do you mentally handle that process?
yeah, there's different stages to it. When I was leaving Slovakia and things weren't great for me in my career. Obviously, I don't want to say bad things about Europe either. I enjoyed every moment of it, but
Yeah.
you take a hit to your ego, your confidence, and it is tough. You're down in the dumps a bit. And every hockey player has gone through it. As soon as you get out of the bubble of youth hockey and you start playing junior, college, and pro, and it becomes a business, you have to learn how to deal with it and adapt. So I think I've been through similar situations, and for me, taking a step back, getting away from the game, spending time with family, that's the only thing that can really fix it for me. Is I just want to recenter myself, reground myself, and then plan the next move. So like you said, it's the uncertainty. It's unsettling at times, but God has a way of making things work, and you kind of just you put it into His hands, and you take a step back. And I think for me, that's what helped a lot. And when I got here, it's like I've already mentioned, everything just falls into place. You get into a organization and a community full of good people, and it always works out.
Well, let's take a really long, far jump back, and let's kind of go back to let us all know a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, kind of how did hockey become the thing for you as a kid that's kind of morphed into this career that you're building?
Sure, yeah. I'm from Livonia, Michigan, pretty close to Detroit. So I knew a lot of the guys on the team, at least heard of them. I played against Dom growing up. So me and Dom go way back. How I got into hockey, I started skating when I was about 4. I have 2 brothers. Younger brother was not a hockey player, but I did follow my older brother, Alex. I followed his footsteps from as long as I can remember. He always kind of paved the way for me. He was a hockey player. Played youth hockey. I played up a couple of years with my brother. Well, never, there weren't really signs of anything down the road. Granted, I was never really looking at it that way until I started developing, but it was always just so much fun. I remember playing on lakes and playing with my brother at the local rink, and then things kind of just fell into place and moved up. I started playing travel hockey at a young-ish age. Then I went to play AAA, a little more serious hockey until I was high school aged. So I played for Honey Baked and Victory Honda, some pretty good teams in Michigan. And then once high school came around, my brother had to make a similar difficult decision, but my parents pretty much said you can either play AAA, high level travel hockey, or go to high school and play. And I decided to go to high school. I went to Cranbrook for 4 years. It was a really, really good school. This is definitely not the popular route for Michigan hockey players, especially ones that are chasing a future in hockey. But I prioritized my education, and I happened to be at a really good hockey school, so things just kind of went my way there, and I committed to play college hockey at Miami University my sophomore year of high school, and I committed with my older brother, so that was awesome. Won a couple state championships there. Those were the glory days until I got to Huntsville. Once my brother graduated, he's 2 years older, so he went on to play junior, and again, I'm just kind of following his footsteps. He played in the NAHL and then played a couple games with him while I was in high school and junior. And then when it was my turn to make the jump, I got drafted in the USHL pre-draft, or whatever it's called, the futures draft. And then I played a year and a half in Omaha, Nebraska, for the Lancers, and I got traded to the Muskegon Lumberjacks and finished there. I played a year at Miami University, and then I transferred to Canisius College in Buffalo, New York, and I played 4 years there, so I got 5 years of college hockey, but this was before the NCAA transfer rule too. So I actually had to go through an appeal process, and I won my appeal, which does, before this whole transfer portal thing was a real thing. I had to do a whole lot of work. So I won my appeal and got an extra year out of it because of COVID and an extra degree. So, and then I played, like I said, I played in Fayetteville my rookie year. Got a couple games in the East Coast League, and then I went to Europe and won a championship last year in Finland, which was pretty special. And signed a really good contract in Slovakia, which obviously didn't work out, and now I'm here. So it's been a long journey, but it's been a good one.
Well, that sounds like a crazy story, just like a long, crazy story. I'm always interested and fascinated with how so many of you hockey players have such, we think the tradition in sports is, you play in high school, then you go to college, then you might get into the pros, and that's like baseball or football and stuff. But when I think about hockey, it's just such a different, all the things you do in your juniors pave such a big role into where you end up going and stuff. And so it's interesting that you chose the high school route as opposed to, like you said, others that may go on and play AAA and keep going with that. But you got the opportunity to play with your brother. So I'm interested in some of the things that you feel like you picked up over time that now that you see in your game that you're like, yep, I can see where I learned that watching him, or how that kind of strengthened me and made me a better player in certain areas. What are those areas like for you?
For my brother?
Yeah, like playing with your brother and seeing him, and what are the things you feel like you picked up on from playing with your brother that you're able to translate now into your career?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because we only played together a couple of years before college, and so 2 years in high school. Is that right? Yeah, 2 years in high school. But we play like a very different style game, and obviously like there are things that he's taught me, and I wouldn't say they were super hockey specific, but everything correlates, right? And
it does. It always falls back together.
Yeah. So like I said, he was a great hockey player before he retired, and we definitely didn't go about the game in the same way. Obviously, there were little pieces that I could pick up on that made me a better hockey player. I couldn't tell you one in particular that has propelled me in the right direction. But when you see him, he's one of the hardest workers I've ever met in my life. He's super detail oriented, and I would say just like background stuff like that has had the biggest impact on me. And just to get into more detail with it, he was always the guy on the ice the longest after practice. He was always staying out working on things, whatever it may be, and it really was just inspiring and motivating. And I think stuff like that is what I have taken with me, and ultimately is what gotten me here. So I will always be grateful for that. Obviously, I don't know if I said this. He retired when I transferred schools. He hung him up and just got his education at Miami University. So I think since he's taken a step away from the game, he's always been there for me, and he's kind of gotten to have a different approach, much more of a normal brother's approach. So I get to talk to him about hockey whenever I want, and he's always there for me. And obviously he's played the game, so he gives me whatever feedback he thinks I need, and that's been just incredible over the years.
That's awesome. So, I always like to know how those relationships go. I'm enamored by Gio and Dom's relationship. Play together, and I think about others, and so I just find it always kind of a blessing in disguise to get to experience that with your sibling to some extent.
Yeah, no, I envy that. It's funny. Me and my best friend Andrew Lane, I played with him my rookie year. My brother was a couple years removed from hockey, but obviously he was an unbelievable player, and him and I were trying to get my brother to come out of retirement, play a year of pro, but he moved to Arizona, and he's having a kid in February here. So as much as we'd like to try again, I think he's moved on from the game. He's doing bigger, cooler things. So I'm super excited for him.
He's trading the skates in for the dad's shoes. So
That's right. That's right.
So tell us a little bit about your experience getting to go to Europe. I always find that interesting too, because the hockey culture and the expectation and playing in Europe is a lot different, probably 180 from over here in America and how things are prioritized. So what was that experience like for you, especially in Finland and then in Slovakia?
Yeah. So after my rookie year, I was fortunate enough to get some European looks, which isn't all too easy or common. Obviously, I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, but I got rookie of the year my rookie year. So I got some good offers in Europe, and I wasn't set on playing in the East Coast League. And I don't know if this is a common belief, but the North American pro hockey is very difficult, and it's very taxing on the body, and it's hard to make it and make those jumps. And I think I had gotten to a point where I wanted to have fun. I wanted to keep pushing myself, and I wanted to kind of tailor my game or go play where my game was a little more tailored for the style of hockey, and that's in Europe. It's a little less physical. In I would say just in the aspect that there's not as much fighting, but players are physical, they're strong, they're really good hockey players, and I think one of the more common differences would be the style of play. It's fast in a similar sense, but there's a lot more puck possession, and they think the game much differently in Europe. And I think for me, it's been awesome. I've always been a more cerebral player. No, I'm not the biggest guy, I'm not the strongest guy, but to be able to hone in on those skills was awesome for me. And I had a great coach and a great team, obviously, in Finland. So I continued to develop there, which was nice. In terms of living in Europe, it was a huge culture shock for me. I lived in Iisalmi, Finland, which is an hour north of Kuopio, about 5 hours north of Helsinki. So it's kind of right in the middle of Finland. It's just this tiny little town. I didn't have a car or anything. They actually gave me a bike with like spikes in the tires, and obviously they get a bunch of snow there. So it was so wild at first, and it took me, like I said earlier, I'm an introverted people, and so are Finnish people, very introverted people. So it took me a good amount of time to get settled in there.
What did you think when they were like, here's your mode of transportation, a bike, all of the snow? I mean, like I don't even know how to process that, especially being over there by myself.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I got there early again because, like I said, the European League start super early. When I got there, I was just all out of whack. The jet lag was insane. In the summers there, I was there at the end of July, beginning of August, and the sun was beating in my room until 11 at night, and I just couldn't sleep, couldn't crack it. I actually ended up coming back home. I didn't know if I wanted to go back. Like I came home and it's like, I don't know if I can go back. So I went through a little quarter life crisis there. But yeah, I ended up finishing my hockey school, which we can touch on in a little bit. And then I went back at the end of August, and yeah, I guess the rest is history. And like I said, I don't think I truly settled in there until about November, December. And it ended up being awesome. Made some unbelievable friends, built some unbelievable relationships, got to win a championship. It really was awesome. I will say this, the Finnish people, as I alluded to, they're super quiet, but once you get to know them, they're just the most rowdy, electric people ever. Like it was a small town, and we had a rink that fit about 4,000 people, not a big rink, and we were selling out every game, and European fans are just crazy. They're just banging on drums the whole game, like those soccer style chants. It was an awesome atmosphere, and yeah, I learned a lot about the culture, and yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And then obviously I went to Slovakia this year, and Eastern European people are much different, a little more abrasive personalities, a little more in your face, but again, met a lot of good people. I lived in Nitra, Slovakia, which was a really cool spot. I lived right downtown, got my own apartment, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. That there was a lot to do there. Got a car, so I didn't have to bike around. Obviously I didn't have to deal with snow, but
right.
Yeah, I will also say that it was, even for the Finnish people, one of the coldest winters there this past year. And I remember there was one week, there were probably 10 guys on the team with cars, and there would be a lot of carpooling, but it was so cold that only 2 of the cars made it to the rink, and everyone else was like walking, and it was insane, absolutely insane.
And there was never a moment in all that when you were like, I think I'm good. I'm good. I'll go back to America, where it's very, we know when we're going to get snow like this.
Yeah, no, I will admit there were times I wanted to go home before I was settled in, but it wasn't because of stuff like that. Once I got settled in, like all that, it's just like another day there. You get to the rink and you're around the people that you work with, and they just make it so much easier. Like I said, they're so friendly, and they help me out so much, and that transition ended up getting easier as time went. And yeah, no, I there was no plan in leaving there. It was a blast.
So during that time in Europe, and you were talking a little bit about how the playing style is a little different. Everything's just a little different in terms of physicality and all of that stuff and skill level. What do you feel like you kind of improved the most on for yourself as a player in that European environment that you're able to bring back now?
There's so many things, right? Obviously just little skills in terms of protecting the puck and making reads offensively. But when you're playing against super skilled European hockey players every night, you learn how to be more defensively responsible. I think that was a big thing for me, is just being in the right place, not getting too excited, too like gung-ho about making the right play right away. You got to be patient, and even me, like I'm an older player now, but just continuing to learn and develop the mental side of the game was huge for me. And another thing is, I was one of the older guys on the team in Europe. It was a young team, so and I've been a captain in the past, but you learn how to play the right way and kind of be a leader on the ice. And when you're in a position where the team's looking upon you to do the right thing all the time, it's obviously stressful, but you always end up learning so much about yourself. And I think that was a big thing for me.
We'll be back with more of the Reekin Havoc podcast.
Time now for the Huntsville Havoc Pick of the Pack, a weekly spotlight. head coach Stuart Steffen.
Robbie Fisher, number 22, returning this year, I think for his fourth season. Veteran guy, was a big part of our playoff run last year, and it's good to have him back this season. Again, he brings a lot of veteran leadership to our group, and he's a guy we can rely on in a lot of situations, especially defensively. Late in the game, he's always out there, penalty kill, first one over the bench. Just a good pro and a good leader on the team. So, it's good having him around, and within the locker room too. He does a great job. He's been a key part of our group for the last couple of years now, and he's doing a really good job again this year, and excited to see where the rest of the year goes with him.
The Reekin Havoc podcast will be right back.
My name is Joel, and I came to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in December of 1987 to be treated for osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer. We didn't know anything about St. Jude. We didn't know what they meant, or that, when we got here, what we would do, how it would be taken care of. And when we arrived, we found out that my family wasn't going to have to pay for any of my treatment, not for my medicine, not for travel, not for housing, not for food. St. Jude was going to cover all that. St. Jude supported me in every way, from, taking that financial burden off my parents to making sure that all of my family was included in this time. St. Jude literally means everything to me. I get to go home to my family tonight. I get to cook dinner for them. That's what you're giving. You are giving us everything by supporting St. Jude. So thank you so much.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Want to howl with the Havoc this season? Now's your chance from Applebee's Tailgate Talk and the Reekin Havoc podcast. Just go to ReekinHavoc.com and click on Howl with the Havoc to register, and listen to Tailgate Talk on Saturday mornings as we announce the winners of Huntsville Havoc tickets. Howl with the Havoc this season from the Huntsville Havoc, Tailgate Talk, and the Reekin Havoc podcast.
This is Matt Duran, and you're listening to the Reekin Havoc podcast.
If we fast forward now to the current season that we're in for the SBHL, the Havoc are on a pretty good streak right now. I'll knock on all the wood around me because I may have just cursed it. Hopefully I didn't. But, for the past few weeks, you guys have pretty much destroyed the teams and really built some good momentum. Wizard Night and Fan Appreciation Night were two pretty good events, a 6-3 win and then a 5-2 win. And you guys came out on top for the team that was, really in the top rank of the season so far. So what do you have to say so far about, kind of how the season's going and coming off those fresh wins?
I think there's a lot to be said about the culture again. I think obviously it's difficult to win games consistently, let alone to be on a streak like this. It doesn't happen without, first of all, resilience. I think we have a really resilient group. Being down games and coming back, that says a lot about the type of guys we have in that room. You could tip your cap to the coaching staff as well. I think they're doing a great job preparing us for every game. Where it seems like everyone's on the same page, and the coaching staff obviously helps there. And just being so close and such a tight-knit group, you kind of build on one another's confidence. We don't have any egos. We don't have anybody that brings one another down. It seems like everything's always being moved in the right direction by the right people. Everyone's got a part to play in it, and it's from the top down. And you don't always get that, and it's super easy to be knocked off track and get beat one game because you weren't ready to play or you weren't physical enough, whatever it may be. But when you have all the guys pulling in the right direction, that's when you get on streaks like this, and it's super exciting to be a part of.
Well, and when momentum is building, as you guys have been able to do for the past couple of games, there's always that. I mean, I guess this could be a fan thing where I'm thinking, okay, well, can we keep it up this week, or what do we got going on? And each game is a new challenge, and that's also something that as a fan I have to constantly remember is that it's not the same team twice on the ice. Things change, things are different. So as a player, how do you kind of maintain your own internal momentum for that, but also understand that, sometimes the games don't always go your way and things happen and you just have to pick up from that? I mean, how do you keep your spirit and keep that kind of pressure up, but also understood at the same time?
Yeah. I think it's a personal thing, but also it's a team thing. Like, For me, personally, it's you kind of gotta be able to be adaptive, and obviously, like you said, every game's not going to go your way. But it's about making the most of every situation. And I guess to put it into perspective, I this past weekend on Friday night just didn't have it just felt like things weren't going my way, and it's super easy to get frustrated. But when you take a step back and you realize that the team's playing well, you got the job done. It's like, wow, that could have gone a lot worse if I had been immature and I had been showing frustration. And that's a little piece of what everyone's doing, is everyone's pulling in the right direction. It doesn't matter if it's going your way, but if everyone's doing their job to the best of their ability, things are going to work out. Granted, the outcome's not always going to be what you want, but that's a whole nother thing, is being able to reset, recalibrate, and get back after it's a really important piece. And I think we do that really well, even in between periods. If we're down in a game, the spirits they're not going in the dumps. Everyone's picking one another up. Everyone has faith. And, every single person in that locker room believes that we're going to win every game. And that's a really big thing.
And sometimes it's just a little belief that changes everything. In a game. Absolutely. Or when you're down and you've got to come back for a big win, those kinds of things. I mean, just a tiny bit of belief can help that. But, you guys also have had some streaks where you've been on the road a lot. You had a couple weeks ago, did a long weekend of travel. How do you maintain that momentum when you're just tired and you're living on a bus and you're, moving from one locker room to the next over a period, and you've, crucial wins at hand? How do you maintain that for yourself?
Yeah, I think the same thing. It's obviously it gets tough. You get injuries, there's so many hurdles to jump, but when you do it together and you got one another picking each other up, it's a lot easier. Obviously it's tough on every single individual, but when everyone's given everything they have every night, you're bound for success. And I don't think there's one guy in that room that's not giving it everything they've got.
So as the season keeps going, we've got a lot more games that are coming up. What do you think is going to be some of the keys for you guys as a team to keep everything going as it should be? Is it communication on the ice, off the ice? What is it during a game? I mean, what is the key so far, you think, to kind of keeping this going?
The first thing that comes to my mind is just playing with confidence. If we can continue to play with confidence, remind ourselves every day how good we are, and like I said, just pick one another up and make sure everyone's pulling in the right direction, I think we'll be quite all right.
Now, something that I did want to ask you that I thought was really cool was your association with a group called My Way Hockey that works with children and teaches hockey clinics and things like that. Share a little bit about what My Way is and kind of your involvement with that.
Yeah, so it's actually a hockey school that I founded my junior year of college. This upcoming summer will be our 5th year. I've always had a passion for hockey, obviously, and teaching. I coached I didn't know this until I got here, but there is a TPH hockey here in Huntsville, and I played for the TPH Thunder for a tournament called the OHL Cup back in the day when I was like 15, 16 years old. And then recently after that, super shortly after that, actually, they moved a school to Detroit, Michigan, which is where I actually had trained for a couple of summers, got to know the staff there really well. And then I started paying for my ice sessions by working the younger camps. So I was working with children anywhere from 8 to, honestly, kids my age. I would even go out there with the pro group just to push pucks and kind of help out where I could. I did that for a handful of years until I'm pretty sure when I was graduating high school. So I did that for probably 3 or 4 years. So that's how I got into coaching. I took a couple summers off. I had some injuries. I wasn't on the ice for a couple summers. And then after my junior year, I'd always thought about it. But one summer I was doing an internship I was living with my billets in Omaha doing a real estate internship, and I had some extra time and I really buckled down and created this hockey school, made a website, started reaching out to all these coaches in Michigan and just trying to get some people to sign up. And it all came to fruition that summer when I had gotten home. And so what it is now is I coach high school age kids for a 5-week program out of my old high school, Cranbrook. And we do 3 skates a week, for 5 weeks, and it's an absolute blast. You get to kind of step away as a player a little bit, and you get to help these kids develop their skills. And it is a skills camp too, so it's not like we're going to do tournaments or anything. It's all about just making these younger athletes better hockey players, better people. And I hired on a couple of my good friends who are also professional and college hockey players, and it's been a blast. Like I said, this will be my 5th year this summer, and it's when you get to step away from being a player and kind of give back, it's been one of the most rewarding things for me. It was after my first year of doing it, one of the parents came up to me and just expressed how thankful they were and how appreciative they were of everything I had done. And my first couple of years, we've never done it for the money, and it is a lot of work to put on these camps, and we weren't charging a whole lot. And obviously we spend 4 hours a day at the rink for these kids, and just to have it come back full circle and have parents and players just remind you how grateful they are. It really was one of the most rewarding moments of my life.
Now you decide to kind of come up with this on a whim, it seems, and to see if you can actually make this work. When it actually came down to the nuts and bolts of putting something like this together, I mean, how long did it really take you to kind of get everything in place? Because it's one thing to tell a bunch of kids, hey, let's come down, let's try, let's play, let's do all this stuff, but to run a business successfully, and that's kind of what I'm hearing, that you've kind of created this as like a summer camp business thing for children. What kind of work really went in it for you, and things that you didn't realize? I mean, you yourself said that, at one point you were probably, you did certain things like this, right? You did camps, you did all of this stuff growing up too. So it's kind of an opportunity for you to be on the opposite side of what people had been doing. So for you, like what was that process like, just kind of putting all of that together?
Sure. Yeah. Completely different animal. I got my MBA in marketing. So at first it was kind of like a school. It was for me to learn, like I wanted to learn how to market something. Right. And the best way to do that was to create my own business in my mind, which probably wasn't, but I learned so much more, so much faster. It did take me a long time. Obviously, like I mentioned, I had wanted to do it for a long time, but once I got the ball rolling, it probably took me 3-4 months to kind of just get everything out there, create the website, make the hires, get into contact with the coaches, parents, and I do have a really small staff, so it's overwhelming at points. And I do pretty much everything outside of the rink by myself. So it is definitely overwhelming, but like I said, it's worth it. At first, I think my first year I didn't have everything set in stone until probably July, and it was like 2 or 3 weeks later that the camp started. So it wasn't like we got a bunch of kids out there, and I was lucky enough. My coach in junior, when I played in Muskegon, is now the head coach of the Cranbrook High School team, my alma mater. So I was in touch with him, and he was doing his best to spread the word to all the Cranbrook hockey players. So I would say the majority of my athletes are from the school I went to, which is awesome. And it makes it a lot more fun for me to be helping a team
About how many kids do you guys have come through there? How many students do you have?
Yeah, so not many. I would say the first year, I can't even remember. I think there was only 13, 15. And I don't want to get any more than 20 just because we don't have enough staff. And I pride myself on, first of all, I say I don't have a lot of staff. I have plenty of staff on the ice, but when you're training in the summers, you don't want, obviously it's great to get reps, but I want my staff to be able to give a bunch of feedback to every player, build a relationship, and make a very hands-on experience for the players, because I think that's how they'll get the most out of it. So I do keep it a little smaller. I've thought about just extending the day, having different ice sessions, having more than one group, but that hasn't been an issue yet because there's only so many players that can come out to these things. And there's other schools in Michigan, other great schools, including TPH. So I'm not trying to poach anybody. I'm just trying to provide another opportunity for kids to get out there and work on their game. So yeah, I keep it under 20, definitely. I think the last 2 years we've had, I think it was 20 and then 18, and this past summer I think it was 17. So yeah, it feels like the perfect amount, so we can still be super hands-on and give necessary feedback and build relationships, which has been great. And we also do an off-ice program. I have some of the staff run it. I used to have a physio guy come in with a strength training background, which is really nice, but he's moved on. He's working with soccer players now. So I've learned enough from him that I kind of have tailored my own program for the kids, which is nice. But I guess I'm just saying that because you get 3 hours a day, 3 times a week with these guys, and you really do get to know them and kind of be that mentor for them, which has been the best part for me and my staff, I would say.
Well, I know that you probably get a lot of it out of it personally too, because you're not just someone out there that's just playing the game now. You're actually in a position to give back. And it's something as simple as 9 hours a week, working with some guys to help them better themselves, to do exactly what you want to do. It's so interesting how full circle these things come.
Yeah, it really is.
Little things like that matter to those kids, and you may not see those seeds like when you see them then, but there's going to be years down the road when you are retired and have your own family, and you're going to see those same people benefit from that time you took with them. So for me, it blesses my heart to know that you're out there doing that.
Thank you so much.
That's an awesome thing. And I look forward to seeing how that grows and everything. And I'm laughing when you saying that, it just kind of started out as something and I thought I'd create my own thing. It reminds me so much of stuff that I've done too. Sometimes they're successful and sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were like me, but I get those moments where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work or not. We're just going to try to see. And it does. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, Austin, thank you so much. Before we get out of here for the day, I thought I would have a little fun and ask you a few get to know you questions that fans always like to find out things about you before you get off. And so the first one I was curious about is, I know that you're in the middle of hockey season, but you got a lot of downtime on the bus. So what are the things that you're listening to? What's in your ear pods? What's the music that you're listening to? What's that kind of thing?
Music. Let me think. I've got a pretty broad music horizon here. I would say dance music, hip hop, and country are definitely the top 3. I don't have any right now. I don't have one artist that I'm just binging.
Gotcha.
But that's not uncommon for me. I would say on the bus though, I've been downloading shows. I did just watch Arcane on Netflix, which was unbelievable. Anybody on the fence about it, give it a watch. It's really good. And then me and my roommates here at the house, we watch Yellowstone. So definitely a show guy right now. I'm slacking on the music.
Have you finished Yellowstone through the finale, or are you just like in the beginning?
So actually, I had watched the first 3 seasons, but my roommates had not, so I'm rewatching it with them. I'm biting the bullet.
Okay. Well, you'll find things when you rewatch it.
That's true. That's true. That
you didn't see before and stuff. So then the key is, though, have you watched, 1883 and the other ones that go with it? Have you?
No, I haven't. I've heard about them. I have not gotten around to it, though.
So as someone who has finished all of Yellowstone, you must watch the other ones too.
Okay, deal.
Preferably before you finish the series of Yellowstone, in my opinion, because it'll make things make sense and it'll make things a lot more richer. So I 100% share that with you. But I also caution you that if you have any kind of little tender heart and think you might tear up at something, those are tearjerker series. It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
There's nothing normal. Everybody gets sick. Things happen. There's, war. Let's just be realistic, but they're very good. And I highly recommend, if you're going to try to get the full effect of Yellowstone, I really think you need to watch the other spinoffs that go with it.
I can do that.
Yeah. So that's my thing. Okay. So, favorite Christmas memory, Christmas morning memory. Is there something that you kind of stands out to you that you could share?
being a hockey player, I just feel like I haven't been able to be home for as many Christmases as I'd like. I will say growing up, just walking out to the living room and I remember being super young. I'm always looking behind the tree for a hockey stick. That was just exhilarating for me. But it's always been about the family and just going out, seeing my parents and my grandparents, aunts and uncles. Somehow they beat me out there. That was the best thing for me, and getting to spend it with my two brothers, I miss it. So yeah, that's it for me. I just loved just the raw excitement in the room, especially being a younger kid. You don't get those back, so I definitely miss that.
Okay, and so this one will be a lot of fun. You may have to think about it for a second, but I was curious. So if you have to play Secret Santa for some of your teammates, what you buying them? So like, for example, your Secret Santa, you pick Stu's name. What are you buying Stu for Christmas? Like, what's the thing you get him?
Stu? Probably hair gel. He's always got his hair slicked back. He looks like an Italian.
What about Dominic?
Probably I'd thrift a flannel for him or something. Definitely, I know I could strike gold at a thrift store for Dom.
Okay, what about Yannick? Where'd you get Jack?
Oh, Jack's tough. I'd probably just show up at his door with a Sonic Blizzard. I haven't been there yet. I do know he loves them. Today we're going tonight. It's going to be my first experience, but he's invited me the last couple of weeks. It's happening tonight, but I know that would go over well.
Okay. And then finally, I don't know who exactly your roommates are, but if you had to be Secret Santa for some of your roommates, what would the things be that you'd get them?
Ooh, that one's tough too. We are always playing on our Wii. It sounds childish, I know, but I would get maybe a couple Wii games for the whole house. I actually might do it.
The fact that you guys still have a Wii just kind of warms my heart. I found the pieces of my Wii, and I'm trying to figure out how to, connect it to the much updated HDMI cable and all those things. So
that's funny. Yeah, we play it far too often. Probably it would be considered concerning to the general public, I would imagine. But what I really want, I've even looked online a couple times. I want to get Guitar Hero for the Wii so bad, but it's so expensive.
It's expensive even for a PS5. We looked at getting our son one of those, and I was like, you have to have two guitars. You can't just have one guitar because you got to have two. And it's like $300 or more.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I
think it's even more than that for the Wii.
I'm assuming it was that much when it was new and everything. And it was on Xbox when I was a kid. But he may have to wait on that for me. So I totally
it's the best game ever, though. I love Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all.
Or even Rock Band.
Austin, I really appreciate you stopping by and chatting. I know that you guys have had a lot going on. The holidays are coming up. There is no stop. We have games going. You were at the rink earlier today before we jumped on and chatted. So I just really appreciate you taking some time and sharing your story with the Havoc family and the Havoc community and letting us all get to know you a little bit more.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I had fun.
Well, thank you. And hockey fans, like I said, we're right in the middle of the season. Just because it's the holidays doesn't mean hockey lets up. It feels like it keeps getting more and more. So we hope you enjoyed our little chat today with Austin. And as I always say, stay sharp in the slot. Keep reeking of Huntsville Havoc hockey. We'll see you next time in the slot.
The Reekin Havoc Podcast.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Join us now for Huntsville's greatest hits, where current and former players recount their most memorable dropping of the gloves.
Defenseman Charlie Risk.
It was my last year of juniors. We're in playoffs. My D partner, he just got back from a shoulder injury, and this guy was trying to fight him, but he obviously couldn't fight. He had a hurt shoulder. I kind of just grabbed the guy, and we just started throwing. And it was my first fight, and it was in playoffs, and it's probably the most significant one, I guess you could say. In juniors, if you fight, you just get kicked out for the game.
We'll be back with the Reekin Havoc Podcast.
In June of 2005, our twin girls were delivered, Melissa and Ann Catherine, and they were born 14 weeks early.
Amy and Chris George talk about the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund.
They both weighed less than 2 pounds. Ann Catherine was 115 and Melissa was 1'9". Melissa lived for a couple of hours, but all of the medical technology in the world just could not have saved her, and she passed away while she was in the NICU. Chris realized pretty early that God had given us a platform that we could use to try to help people. So Chris and I started the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund at Huntsville Hospital.
To know that Melissa's name is living on, her legacy continues, and I think that was very important to Amy and I, is why the fund is named after her. Because for 7 weeks, Melissa fought so that Aunt Catherine would have a chance to live. And I think that we wouldn't be doing her name any justice if we didn't carry on, because we know we wanted to honor her and honor her legacy. And the community, Huntsville Havoc, the community in Huntsville itself, they've rallied around that. And it's been a wonderful support system for us. And I think for a lot of families too, when they see total strangers that are giving.
We're online at HuntsvilleHospitalFoundation.org. Click on the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund and you can give that way.
There's no donation that's too small, and every dollar is just as important as the next one. And if you're giving, then we understand you're giving because you care. And that's what's important, is that we've learned over the years that people give because they care.
And you can volunteer. If you're interested in that, you can click on the volunteer tab to fill out an application. We are grateful for any type of support because we know that once we pull those dollars together, we can do big things.
For more information on the Melissa George Neonatal Memorial Fund, visit HuntsvilleHospitalFoundation.org.
Hey, this is Benito Poza, and you're listening to the Reekin Havoc podcast.
This Friday, the first place Havoc will be at home against last place Pensacola for the Peanuts holiday game with Santa and specialty jerseys. Saturday, the teams trade venues as Huntsville travels south. The Havoc are 5-0 this season against the Ice Flyers. The first annual School Day Showcase will be Wednesday, February 26th. It's an inter-squad game and skills competition starting at 10:30 a.m., incorporating educational elements to provide a unique learning experience for students. Tickets are $15 and include a free ticket to any home game in March, with the exception of the 29th, with 2 free tickets per class for teachers and or chaperones. For more information, go online to HuntsvilleHavoc.com and click on School Day Showcase. All Havoc tickets are now digital and can be accessed through a mobile device. Go online to HuntsvilleHavoc.com and under the Tickets tab, click on Mobile Ticketing. Keep in mind, too, that the VBC is a cashless venue. Concession stands or bars will not accept cash, and Chuck-a-Puck purchase is only available online. Go to the Fan Zone tab at HuntsvilleHavoc.com and click on Auctions Powered by Dash. Be aware of the VBC's clear bag only policy for Havoc games. This includes no clutch purses, fanny packs, and diaper bags. Exceptions to the policy will be made for all medically necessary items after proper inspection. For more information, plus a list of prohibited items, go to HuntsvilleHavoc.com and under the Fan Zone tab, click Security. Remember, if you're a season ticket holder, doors will open at 5:30 p.m. and remain open until puck drop. You can enter through the doors in the hallway adjacent to the Havoc front office and VBC box office.
Watch the Havoc live or on demand all season long via Flow Hockey. Just go online to flowhockey.tv or download the Flow Hockey app for your device.
The Reekin Havoc podcast. For those returning from military service, the transition back to civilian life isn't always easy. Retired Marine Gunnery Sergeant Bill Cook talks about still serving veterans.
The mission of Still Serving Veterans is to serve and honor veterans and their families by empowering them to build meaningful lives. And we do that through connecting to fulfilling careers, getting the benefits they deserve, or the services that they need. We have never charged anybody anything for our services. A group of business leaders in town felt there was a need to help the seriously wounded make that transition back into civilian life. Employment services, VA benefits, and connections to other community services. That's what we do. If you're a veteran and you need help, please get a hold of us. Go to that website, ssb.org, and you can find out pretty much anything you need to know about still serving veterans.
In Huntsville, call 256-883-7035. For tickets, official Huntsville Havoc merchandise, and more, go to huntsvillehavoc.com. Visit our website at reekinhavoc.com. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads. And listen, follow, and subscribe to the Reekin Havoc podcast on your favorite platform to keep up with the only weekly podcast covering the Huntsville Havoc, the Reekin Havoc podcast.